We good? Good evening, everyone. My name is Kristen Ike. I'm the Code Enforcement Special Magistrate for the City of Deltona, and I'm calling the Special Magistrate hearing of September 25th, 2024 to order. The first thing on the agenda is the roll call, so I will have all the code compliance officers introduce themselves.
The Code Compliance Supervisor. Steve Roth, Code Compliance Officer.
Nicholas Lopez, Code Compliance Officer.
Danny Rom, Code Compliance Manager.
Sharon Shivers, Fire Marshal.
Sam Scheller, Assistant Fire Marshal.
Jory Bailey, Fire Inspector.
Lisa Nadeau, Fire Inspector.
No. Are you introducing?
Renee Kearney, Code Compliance Administrator.
Jessica Cotterman, Hearing Clerk.
All right. That's everyone. All right. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on the agenda is my statement about how the hearing is going to run this evening. I'm going to read this so I don't forget anything. We are here tonight because the City of Deltona has contended that there are violations of the Deltona City Code that exist. This is a public meeting, which means that no general public comment will be accepted, but each of the respondents and the code enforcement officers here tonight, and any witnesses each of you call, will be able to present evidence to me regarding each case and the violations of the Deltona City Code that are being alleged. I am an attorney and appointed by the City Commission to render decisions in these code enforcement cases to determine if a violation of the City Code exists and what fine will be imposed, if any. If you are here for a Massey case, you might see that next to your case number on the agenda. That means that I will be determining solely whether you have come into compliance in a timely manner in accordance with the previous order that the special magistrate issued in your case, and will not be reopening the case to determine whether or not a violation existed in the first place. Any decision I make this evening will be put into a written format in the form of an order. A copy of my written order will be provided to the city and then mailed to you as well. It is important to note that for any order I issue, you may appeal by sending a written notice of appeal to the circuit court within 30 days of the execution of my order pursuant to Florida Statutes Section 162.11. The procedure of the hearings today will be governed by Chapter 162 Florida Statutes. Formal rules of evidence shall not apply, but fundamental due process shall be observed and shall govern the proceedings. Hearsay is admissible, but only to support other competent and substantial evidence. If you are a respondent, you will be able to testify, tell me what you think I need to know about your case, present evidence and witnesses. Your testimony will be under oath, so I will be swearing you in, and this hearing is being recorded. For each case, I will call the case number and the city will proceed first. The city has the burden of proving that the code of violation exists. Then you will be allowed to respond. For each case, I intend to admit the case file and the PowerPoint presentation, and you should have received a copy of that when you came in this evening. If you did not, please let me know. But I do intend to admit that unless a specific objection is received. I will take the cases generally in order that you signed in, but I do have one case I believe I'm going to take first, which is a dangerous dog case this evening. I will go ahead and announce the cases that have been withdrawn or continued. These would be Fire 24-0051 for 577 Deltona Boulevard, Suite 13, and DEL 24-090, 1790 Dublin Road, and DEL 24-093, 2057 Heathwood Street. So if you're here for any of those three cases, you do not need to stay. They are being withdrawn from the agenda tonight. I will go ahead and swear in anyone who intends to testify today as a group, which includes the code compliance officers. So would you please stand and raise your right hand? Stand if you're able. If you intend to talk to me this evening. All right. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Okay. We'll just wait just a moment for my hearing clerk. Okay. All right, so this would be case DEL 24-095, 974 Winbrook Drive in Deltona. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Magistrate. I'm Marcia Siegel-George. I'm the city attorney for City of Deltona, and I'm entering my appearance in this case simply to it's a complicated case to assist the code officer who will be presenting.
Okay, thank
All right.
you.
Hi, my name is Larry Sparling. I'm employed by the City of Deltona as a code compliance and animal control officer. This will be case number DEL 24-095, the City of Deltona versus Amanda Norville and Kevin Korick Jr. The property address is 974 Winbrook Drive, Deltona, Florida 32725. The parcel ID number is 813-012-010-090. This is a violation of City of Deltona Ordinance, Section 14166, classification of dangerous dog. A dog is deemed dangerous if, according to the Code Enforcement Sheriff Records and the definition under Section 14-1. 14-1, dangerous dog means any dog that, according to the records of appropriate authority, 1, has aggressively bitten, attacked, or endangered, or has inflicted severe injury on a human being on public or private property. Severe injury means any physical injury that results in broken bone, multiple bites, or disfiguring laceration requiring sutures and reconstructive surgery. 2, has killed a domestic animal or more than once severely injured a domestic animal while off the owner's property. 3, has been used in dog fights. 4, has, when unprovoked, chased or approached a person upon the streets, sidewalks, or any public ground in a menacing fashion or apparent attitude of attack, provided that such actions are attested to in a sworn statement by one or more persons and dutifully investigated by the appropriate authority. The statutory requirements to have been met by dangerous dog determination letter being served on September 4th to the resident, Mr. Cowork. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the Special Magistrate Clerk. I certify all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed the day they were taken. This case is in reference to 2 female pit bull terriers, Luna and Gemma. First incident on October 25th, 2023. Mr. Cork's 2 pit bull type dogs named Luna and Gemma were at large on the property of 910 Winbrook Drive, Deltona, and attacked the resident's dog, Minnie, a female Maltese mix, according to a sworn statement from Nancy Cifuentes. Affidavit is found in Exhibit E. Multiple bites were found on Minnie, causing severe injury, and based on the definition of severe injury, pertinent to dangerous dog definition number 2. The second incident on June 17th, 2024, Approximately 9:30 p.m., according to a sworn affidavit from former Mayor Heidi Hertzberg, 2 pit bull type dogs were at large, attacked her dog Ivy, a female schnauzer, as Miss Hertzberg was walking at 556 Nardello Drive. While unprovoked, these dogs approached Miss Hertzberg and Ivy in a menacing fashion and attacked. Due to the severe injuries, Ivy required surgery. Miss Hertzberg was bitten during this incident and had to undergo rabies vaccination shots. Ms. Hertzberg, 3 affidavits are located in Exhibit E as well. On July 23rd, we received a sworn statement from Nathaniel Maldonado stating he heard the screaming on June 17th and drove toward the attack and saw 2 tan, brownish, tall dogs running down the street. Then a white Chrysler SUV and a blue Expedition Explorer drove by and asked if they had seen the dogs. He said the dogs ran towards Leland and the 2 drove off. The city of Deltona believes those were Mr. Coerk's dogs, Luna and Gemma. In the second incident satisfies dangerous dog definition number 2. Both incidents being unprovoked and approaching an attacked meet definition number 4. They were out large several times. I would like to summarize. Can I have permission to reflect our summary after the defendant responds?
Sure. I guess it'd be helpful for me if you, well, I guess I have questions. So, first of all, so we have 2 incidents. The first incident was an attack on what, Minnie? Another animal?
Yes.
And what is the severe, how is the injuries that Minnie sustained severe?
So in the definition of severe injury, any physical injury that results in broken bones, multiple bites, and so we feel that with the multiple bites Minnie received is the definition of severe.
Okay, so there's multiple bites.
This is Ivy. This is the number 2. There's Minnie.
Well, how is that multiple bites?
So the 4 puncture wounds on the bottom constitute one bite in the nicks, and the bites on the arms must have been from second and third bites.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll move on to the second incident, and then for the moment, and then the second is with the dog Ivy,
Yes.
and that one resulted in surgery?
Yes.
Okay. What was the, what was the nature of the injury?
So from what I understand, it had the abdomen was pulled apart. She had air in her stomach. It had to be drained, and I think sutures. We have a witness.
Yeah, I'd like to hear.
We're asking about Ivy's injuries.
That's fine. Can you state your name and address for the record?
Yes, thank you. Heidi Hertzberg, 556 Nardello Drive, Deltona, Florida, and I'm the owner of Ivy.
Okay.
So hospitalization records were provided to animal control. They should be in the packet. You'll see the statement from the emergency vet, and it shows, it details what Ivy's injuries were. She had multiple puncture wounds. She had 2 to 4 fractured ribs. She had pneumothorax, where they had to aspirate her and drain the air out of her, and she was hospitalized 3 nights. It should all be in the statement. You have the vet bills, the ER bill, and the daily bill, and the summary from the veterinarian as to what happened to Ivy.
Okay, thank you.
And you can see there are multiple bite wounds on her hind legs and on her back.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and also I don't know if you want that now, but I was bitten in the attack by trying to get Ivy out of their mouths and opening their mouths because she was harnessed and leashed. And they jumped her and attacked her, and I was bitten on my left hand, and because the dogs were at large and weren't found, by the next day I had to undergo tetanus and rabies, a series of rabies shots. That's all. Also, you have the medical records, and it's all documented as well. Should all be. I provided everything, 3 affidavits and the medical records.
Okay, where were you when the attack happened?
I had walked out my gate with her on a harness and a leash, and I was on the sidewalk of about maybe 40 feet from my house, and she was sniffing in the grass, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw the 2 dogs run up the road, and they just attacked her. It was about 9:20 p.m., so, and there was a street light there, but it happened so fast. They just ran down the street and jumped her. And then as I was able to finally pick her up and walk to my house, they jumped in front of me and tried to pull her out of my arms as well.
I'm sorry, what?
When I was able to finally get her away from them, and I picked her up, and the leash was dangling, and I was walking like this to take her to my house, and they came around the front and were still trying to pull her out of my arms.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, did you have any other witnesses, or?
Ms. Swint, so Minnie's mother is here. Ms. Swintes?
Hi, can you state your name and address for the record?
Nancy Cifuentes, 910 Winbrook Drive.
Okay. Can you describe what happened when your dog was attacked? Were you present?
Yes, yes. So this happened on my property. She was leashed. She had the harness on, and I walked her around the side of my house. And it's a corner house, and the 2 dogs, we saw each other at the same time. They came from the end of the block, or not the end of the block, they came from the end, and they immediately ran toward us, toward her, and immediately began to, I don't know what was happening, to attack her. So I was afraid of them. She was on a retractable leash, so as I was trying to pull her, it was difficult to just grab her and try to stay away from the dog so that they wouldn't bite me. In the meantime, she's crying, they're biting, and I finally was able to somehow grab her like this, and then one of the dogs came to grab the dog off of me, but I then turned over and threw myself on the ground, and they were just circling me, and not looking to hurt me, but trying to grab her. So as my face is on the ground and I'm on top of her, they're trying to grab her from underneath my belly. Eventually, I made phone calls, and eventually code compliance came, animal control, and so the 2 people were able to come and help and get me up, and the dogs, one of the dogs stayed and the other dogs ran away, but one of the employers was able to identify the dogs and knew where they lived, which was 974 Winbrook.
Where was your dog bitten?
On the back, on her, really on her back and on their side.
Okay. And you said that was from multiple bites, or?
Yeah, multiple bites.
Okay. Do you?
So I did take her to the vet. She thankfully did not require any extra assist, like she didn't have surgery or anything. They just gave her an ointment, and thank goodness she was okay.
Okay. Thank you.
The dogs were seen multiple times at different days loose on that block. Or I've seen the dogs multiple times loose on the block.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, did you have anything else you wanted to add for the moment?
That'll be all.
Okay. Are the dog owners present?
No.
They are not present.
They told me they'd be here. They're running late.
Okay. Well, all right, just give me a moment then. I want to look through the file.
Yeah, they just walked in.
I'm sorry?
They just called and said they're walking the front door.
All right, well, at this point, I mean, since they're present, I feel that you're going to have to give that testimony again, since they weren't here for it. So, if they walk in.
Where are we starting?
Should we give him a minute to look at the package?
Sure.
Maybe take another case.
Larry, go ahead.
My name is Larry Sparling. I'm employed by the City of Deltona as a Code Compliance and Animal Control Officer. This case will be case number DEL 24-095, the City of Deltona versus Amanda Norville and Kevin Coerick Jr. The property address is 974 Winbrook Drive, Deltona, Florida 32725. Parcel ID number is 813-012-010-090. This is a violation of City of Deltona Ordinance, Section 14166, classification of dangerous dog. A dog is deemed dangerous if, according to Code Enforcement Sheriff records, the definition under 14.1. 14.1, dangerous dog means any dog that, according to the records of the appropriate authority, 1, has aggressively bitten, attacked, or endangered, or has inflicted severe injury on a human being on public or private property. Severe injury meaning any physical injury that results in broken bones, multiple bites, disfiguring lacerations requiring sutures or reconstructive surgery. 2, has killed a domestic animal or more than once severely injured a domestic animal while off the owner's property. 3, has been used in dogfighting. 4, has, when unprovoked, chased or approached a person upon the streets, sidewalks, or any public grounds in a menacing fashion or an apparent attitude of attack, provided that such actions are attested to in sworn statement by one or more persons dutifully investigated by the appropriate authority. The statutory requirements have been met by dangerous dog determination letter being served on April 4th, 2024 to resident Kevin Coerick. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits, are submitted to the Special Magistrate Clerk. I certify that all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed the day they were taken. This case is in reference to 2 female pit bull terriers, Luna and Gemma. First incident was on October 25th, 2023. Mr. Coerick's 2 pit bull type dogs named Luna and Gemma were at large on the property of 910 Winbrook Drive, Deltona, Florida, and attacked the resident's dog Minnie, a female Maltese mix, according to sworn statements from Nancy Fuentes. I'm so sorry. Affidavit is found in Exhibit E. Multiple bites were found on Minnie, causing severe injury based on the definition of severe injury pertinent to dangerous dog definition number 2. Would it be a good time now to talk?
Sure.
Would you tell?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
I'm Nancy Cifuentes, and my address is 910 Winbrook Drive in Deltona. On October 20, on the date, the dogs, I had my dog Minnie, this occurred on my property. My dog was leashed and had her harness on. I walked her around the corner of my house, on the side of my house, and the 2 dogs just, I don't know where, just approached us, immediately ran toward her, attacked her on either side. they were barking, she's crying, and I had a retractable leash. So I was attempting to pull her from them. Somehow, eventually, I was able to pull her to gather her to me. When I lifted her up on my arms, one of the dogs jumped on top of me to attempt to try to grab her. Because I had her on my arms that quick, I turned around quickly and threw myself on the ground. I waited with her on the ground until someone came, but in the meantime, one of the dogs was circling me to try to grab Minnie from underneath me. Eventually, code enforcement came in and they were able to, one of the dogs ran off, actually, and code enforcement was able to help with us getting up, and one of the officers identified the dog. I have cited the animals, or the two dogs, in various places, and in fact, just seeing the pictures, one of them was one of the ones that I provided. So they have been seen several places in the neighborhood.
All right, and did you say you saw your dog being bitten one time, multiple times? How many times would you
When that
estimate?
was happening, as it was happening multiple times, because they were each, one on either side. As soon as I grabbed her, I could see the various wounds, but yes, just on either side as I was trying to pull them.
So both dogs were biting?
Right, both dogs were biting. They were both on either side. I did take her to the vet. She did have those wounds. They were able to give ointment, and thankfully there was no surgery involved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Then the second incident on June 17, 2024, at approximately 9:30 p.m., according to sworn affidavits from former Mayor Heidi Hertzberg, two pit bull-type dogs were at large, attacked her dog, Ivy, a female schnauzer, as Ms. Hertzberg was walking around 556 Nardello Drive. While unprovoked, these dogs approached Ms. Hertzberg and Ivy in a menacing fashion and attacked. Due to severe injuries, Ivy required surgery. Ms. Hertzberg was bitten during this incident and had to undergo rabies vaccination shots. Ms. Hertzberg, 3 affidavits are located in Exhibit 3. Then on July 23rd, we received a sworn affidavit from Nathaniel Maldonado, also Exhibit E, stating he heard the screaming on June 17th, drove toward the attack, and saw 2 tan, brownish, tall dogs running down the street. Then a white Chrysler SUV and a blue Expedition or Explorer drove by, asked if they had seen the dogs. He said the dogs ran towards Leland Street and the 2 drove off. The city of Deltona believes those were the dogs, Kevin Cork's dogs, Luna and Gemma. The second incident satisfies dangerous dog definition number 2. Both incidents being unprovoked, approaching and attacking meet definition number 4. So I'd like to summarize after. Oh, Ms. Hertzberg, can we have, please?
Heidi Hertzberg, 556 Nardello Drive, Deltona, Florida. On the evening of the 17th of June, I took my small dog Ivy out. She was in a harness and a leash, and we walked along the sidewalk right next to my house. And as she was sniffing in the grass, I caught something out of the corner of my eye just as we were turning around to head home, and 2 loose dogs came running from the east, from the Providence direction, and cut in front of me and grabbed her and started attacking her. And they were pulling her, and you could hear the screams and the crying, and they kept pulling her legs. And as I said, I don't know how, I just kept pulling on the leash and ended up going, and I was hitting them like this to try to get my dog out of their mouth and opening their mouths, and they were both going after her, and they were both tan type pit bull dogs. They both had collars on, and they were young dogs because when I opened up their mouths, their teeth were pretty white, so they weren't like senior older dogs, and they were well taken care of. They weren't like emaciated or anything. And I grabbed Ivy and carried her like this, turned around to walk to my house, and both dogs came around the front and tried to pull her out of my arms. And as I walked as fast as I could because the leash was dangling, and went inside and slid my gate closed. I called 911 and reported it. And then I called the emergency vet, and I took her there. and you have all the information as to her bite wounds. The bite wounds were on the back of her legs, they were on the top of her back, and then there were 2 to 4 fractured ribs, and she was punctured in the chest area and developed pneumothorax, and she had to be chest tapped to release the air, and she was hospitalized 3 nights.
Okay. And you said that you were also bitten
Yes,
during
I'm
this.
sorry, yes, but trying to get her out, I was bitten on my left hand, and after talking to my doctor, I had to go in and get a tetanus booster, and then I had to undergo, they sent me right down to the ER the next morning because the dogs were loose. They were not captured that night, so nobody knew their rabies status, and then I had to undergo immunoglobulin in my hand where the bite wounds were, and then rabies shots, 3 that day. 3 days later, I had to go again, and then the following Tuesday again, and a week later again to do the series of the rabies shots. And you have all the medical records as well.
Yeah, and were you bitten more than once or once on the hand?
Multiple times in different parts of the hand. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, thank you.
So I'd like to summarize. Could I have permission to reflect summary after the defendant's response?
Yes. Okay, is the dog owner here?
Kevin? Yes.
You come. All right, can you state your name and address for the record?
Kenneth Corringer, 974 Winbrook.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and swear you in because you weren't here when we started. Do you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say I do.
I do.
All right. What would you like to tell me about these incidents?
First of all, I'd like to apologize for the delay. I did that kind of strategically because I wasn't able to see any of the photos or any of the case against me. So with me knowing there was 10 cases, I thought that if I got here a little later, we'd be able to review it. I didn't know it would be first up. And I would like to apologize for the incident that occurred. I don't believe the second incident was my dogs. The first incident, I believe, may have been. I'm pretty confident that it was, but the discrepancy between the two, like if you listen to the first attack, she was able to hold her dog and then lay on the floor, and my dogs didn't attack her. In the second event, those dogs that did do the attack, that was more vicious than the first one, they did bite at the former mayor. And I don't believe my dogs are that type. Like I said, with the first attack that I'm confident that they may have been involved in. Yes, with the first attack that I'm confident they may have been involved in, like I said, she was able to hold her dog up from them and then decided to lay on the floor, and my dogs did not try to bite her. We were out of town for the second event, and if it was 9:40, like I said, I don't have a lot of information from the case. What I was wanting to do was request a continuance, because when I did the Freedom of Information Act, I didn't get anything, and I only received it Monday. I didn't get any photos. There's a saying that says that if you show me a man that represents himself, I'll show you a man that has a fool for an attorney. So I'm representing myself, and I'm trying my best. I'm a little upset because I love my dogs. I care for them. I know everybody's going to say, it wasn't my dogs, they're not capable of that. So that's going to be what I say first and foremost. But my dogs, there was a period of time where my dogs got at large for, like weeks, for a few weeks there. The city came, and I know this is irrelevant, but the city came and they removed a tree. They were able to escape from the bottom of that. Once I secured that, they weren't getting out. So there was a period where I got several citations, and the attack on the first victim, I attempted to go down and speak with them. If it was my dogs involved, I was going to pay the vet bills. I wanted to see what had happened. And they got out a separate time where she took pictures of them, and then I got cited again. So I was fined multiple times. I fortified my yard and made sure that that wouldn't happen again. So it was quite a surprise when in September or August, late August, they came to me and said, your dogs got out. I said, there's no way. And they said, well, this was back in June. So I'm to provide a defense for months prior and try and see where my dogs were. But luckily, it was Father's Day weekend, and we were out of town. We did return on the night of the event, but we left my mother's house at 8 o'clock, 8:30, and we wouldn't have been back by 9:40 if what I'm reading in the documentation is correct.
So who was keeping your dogs while you were out of town?
We had them with us.
I'm sorry?
We had them with us.
Oh, you had them with you.
We can't kill them, so we went for a 4-day weekend. We take our dogs with us.
So you're saying you weren't home and your dogs weren't present at the time?
We were in Hernando County from Father's Day weekend. We didn't return until apparently that evening, but it would have been from the East Coast to the West Coast later than that, the 9:40, if that's the correct time.
Okay. Can we go back to pictures of the dogs? But not to the dogs that were bitten, but to it's Luna and Gemma, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
That is Luna.
these are your dogs?
That is Luna.
Okay.
That is Gemma.
Okay.
That is Blurry. But those are, I would say, Gemma and Luna. Gemma and Luna.
Okay. If I can have the former mayor, if you could come up at this other podium here. Can you state whether or not the dogs that are in the pictures here are the ones that attacked you?
The coloring matches, and what I can tell you is that the collars are distinct. The one dog, and I remember this because I grabbed by the collar, the collar is wide. It's a belt buckle type collar, and you'll see that in my statement, and it is striped. And the one dog has that, you can see the bigger collar on the dog with the bigger ears. And that is the collar that was on, for sure, on the one dog. They didn't have chain collars, they didn't have harnesses, and they're both younger dogs, as I said, because when I pulled them, their mouths open, their teeth were white. The dogs are not old.
Okay, can we go back to, now, this one, that there are...
Solid with the name, and both are solid with the name. No stripes. Pink and green with their name tags.
All right, so there's, yeah, I'm not seeing a striped collar.
On the other dog, the gray dog, has a wider collar.
Personalized with the name tags, both of them pink.
It's a wider belt type collar, that I know, from what I have there.
I do apologize for what happened, but I do not think it was my dogs in this occasion, especially since I was out of town.
So the only thing that I'll say to that, Madam Magistrate, is if you look at the affidavit from 907 Anderson, he heard me screaming, he drove down, called 911, and then he had said, because the next day, the officer said they had a description of the vehicles, the owners were driving around looking for the cars, and the next day, he called me, the officer, and said that there were two vehicles. There was an older white minivan, Dodge minivan, and there was either a Ford Expedition or an Explorer, and it was a husband and wife in their late 30s, early 40s, white, that were driving around looking for the dogs going up and down the street, and that's in the affidavit from the gentleman on Anderson. And the other comment I just wanted to make, if you'll indulge me, I did a public records request and asked the city what other times these dogs were out, and the gentleman states they hadn't been out very much since the incident with the other small dog, but there is. On April 24th, 2024, there is another citation for the dogs at large, and I believe there's a map that'll show you where the dogs were. This first attack happened close to his house. If you look at the houses 974 and 910 are close by. My house is 556, and if you look at the dogs were picked up at 272 Garland, which is further down than my house as well. And that's, I'm sorry if that's incorrect, officer, please correct me, but I understand that that was another, they were at large, same dogs, correct?
That is correct.
So you're at 556.
I'm at 556. And then 272 is even further down, and those were the same dogs, and that date of that that citation was April 24th. So
Is that, and 272, is it Ms. Cifuentes?
she's up 9/10.
Oh, 910, I'm sorry.
And the one between her attack and my attack is April 24th, 2024 at 272 Garland, according to a public records request. And the officer can verify that. If I'm not correct, please let me know.
Okay.
And I believe those vehicles and description of those vehicles are owned by the dog owners. If I'm not correct, please clarify that. They could
Well,
maybe clarify if they own the vehicles.
Yeah, does the city have evidence that they own those vehicles?
I have photographs
Of?
of the vehicles in the driveway.
You went by my home?
Most certainly did.
So the affidavit that Mr. Maldonado wrote, a white SUV, Chrysler white SUV. They own a minivan, a Chrysler minivan. So
It's white.
there is,
The dog owner does, you're saying?
yes.
And how do you know that?
Oh, yeah, it's parked in the driveway.
Okay, you've observed it at the property.
The driveway, yeah.
Okay.
And they also have a dark blue or black Expedition. It's also in the driveway.
Okay. All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, sir?
Oh, plenty, but like I said, I don't have a lot of the information, and I'm not brown-nosing, but when she was mayor, I respected her deeply. I liked what she was doing. Where we're headed now, I actually wish she would have won, but what I'd like to say is there's more to my defense than just the vehicle. I wish I can come up with, I have a tow date for that van that supposedly was driving around even if I wasn't in town. We took my wife's vehicle because the head gasket had blown. But unfortunately, it was late July, or early July, not late June when the incident happened, that we actually officially got it diagnosed. But that vehicle was not in running order, so I could not have been driving around looking for my dogs either, even if I was in town. But like I said, I wasn't in town. That's the main thing. I was in town that evening, but I didn't get, not at 9:40, if what I'm reading from what I did get is correct. Also, we have sworn affidavits of pit bulls in the neighborhood, tall and brown, as described. Mine are gray and brown and short. They are 18 inches at hind and 18 and a half inches shoulder and 19 inches and 19 and a half shoulder. They're not tall brown pit bulls, and they're not vicious. So there have been descriptions of dogs in my neighborhood that were at large. So much so that my neighbor, who usually helps when they were getting out around that time, she would help bring them back over to me. And she was like, your dogs get out, but they wouldn't come to me this time. And I said, they're right here. And she said, oh, who the hell's dogs were those? Pardon my French. But there are other pit bulls in the neighborhood that look like my pit bulls. So let's say hypothetically.
I'm sorry, did you say you had affidavits?
I do. I thought, yes. Like I said, I thought I was going to have more time prior to. I thought there was going to be multiple cases, but if those haven't been entered in, I have multiple affidavits from neighborhood members and such that say they've seen pit bulls in the neighborhood that aren't my pit bulls, and it's been proven because they've seen all four at the same time.
Okay, if you have affidavits that you want me to look at, then...
I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm new at this attorney stuff, but yes, I do.
You'll need to, yes, he'll bring it forward.
And if the prosecution to see that at all, like I said,
Yes,
I thought it was going to be like last.
Is this your only copy?
That is a copy of it, yes. We have the original, that's a copy. I can get you the originals if you need so. And like I said, it is unfortunate, but it's not my dog style, and I know everyone's going to say that. But like I said, the first incident, I'm not claiming that wasn't my dogs. I believe that Minnie, unfortunately, was attacked by my dogs. I don't think it was vicious. I think it was more of a curiosity thing, and they were trying to, go up to a younger dog who may have been territorial and nipped at them, and they nipped back. But I don't feel that that was an aggressive attack either. I know she got puncture wounds, but I feel it was just a bite for a bite. And luckily, she was able to pull them up just in case they were to be vicious. She was able to pull them up. But again, I repeat that she was able to lay on the ground like a live grenade and protect from two vicious pit bulls her dog, and nothing happened to her. And like I said, I know it's a common excuse to say, my dogs aren't like that, my dogs aren't like that. They may have been curious. If you go up to this is just a for instance, if you're at a dog park and you bring your dogs up on leashes and you allow them to smell each other, one of two things are going to happen. They're going to smell each other's butts and like each other, or they're going to snip at each other, and it's the owner's responsibility to pull them back, because otherwise they're both dangerous because they're going to bite. It's animal instinct. If you pull them back, nothing happens, and you say, oh, I guess they don't get along. If there's no one there to pull them back, then they might bite, but they're not going to savagely attack and dismember or try and kill that puppy. Minnie was unfortunately attacked, but I believe that it was just curiosity and unfortunate. I don't believe my dogs, I know my dogs weren't involved in the second one. I wasn't in town at 9:40.
Let me just give us a second to look at this, because there are two copies here. So
I'm sorry.
let's can you give this to Ms. Siegel so she's able to look at it as well?
I might have more stuff here. Like I said, I thought I was going to have time to prepare. Initially, I was given I requested the information on Friday the 13th. I came up 12th and requested the info, and then I came back up Friday. They said they didn't have it yet. They'll email it. I came back up Monday. They said they'll email it. I didn't receive it until the following Monday. So this Monday, I got any information that I got 2 days before this court date.
Okay. Give me a moment to read.
And I apologize again. I'm like nervous. So. Your Honor, if I may, I think you may have my mom's as well. That's not, that wasn't, there wasn't anyone that witnessed her signing that. She's on the other coast right now and evacuating because of storm surges.
Which one, Kaylee Walker?
No, ma'am, I should say Linda Corcoran, but she's just the one saying that we were at her house and then we left there. If that one's in there, that one wasn't, we weren't able to get that signed, or notarized. Notary wasn't able to witness her signing that. But if need be, she can.
Okay. Does the city have, okay, is there anything else that you want to present to me?
Possibly.
Now's your opportunity.
Like I said, I'm just trying to recap. So I don't know if both incidents were considered violent attacks. I know that there was a puncture wound, and she said that they both bit multiple times, but I wasn't able to get any info. But I went down after the fact. I didn't get any photos, but it seemed to me that there was only a bite, maybe two, but I don't think they were aggressively attacking the dog. And like I said, I offered to pay any bills that may have come from it, and I think they only got some kind of like a cataprofen or they didn't require any stitches or surgery, and they had just the go in there bill. And then the husband had mentioned that his wife was attacked, and he said that loudly in their yard. And I said, "Your wife was attacked?" He said, "No." I said, "Why are you yelling that in the neighborhood? My dogs didn't attack your wife, right?" So he had mentioned that they attacked my wife, and I said, "Did they?" And then he said, "No." I was like, because I didn't know. I was just walking down to see what had happened. And I said, "They didn't?" And he said, "No." I said, "Why are you yelling that in the neighborhood? Now they're going to think my dogs attack humans." But in my opinion, I don't think it was more than a bite or two, and not vicious. A puncture wound or two that would happen if they had a little altercation that you couldn't pull them back. And like I said, luckily she was able to pull them up just in case it went to that extent, but I don't think it would have. And that's my opinion. But I don't think it was. When I learned about the second one, it sounded a lot more like they played tug of war with it, or, like it sounded scary. I don't see my dogs doing that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, for the city, did you have anything else you wanted to say or respond to?
So on the affidavits provided of the other dogs, I would notice that there's not a specific date. And are the witnesses here for those?
No, sir.
That's all.
You're saying on the affidavits, there's no...
Mine, correct?
No
There's
dates?
specific date?
Meaning no specific date?
As to when they would have seen the dogs at large?
There are dates.
On the 3 affidavits he just provided?
Yes.
That the dogs were seen, what I'm looking at is June or August, like the whole month. No
Around
specific
August.
date.
Yeah, I know my neighbor, Kaylee, she said she didn't remember the date, so I don't know if they have a specific date, but
Okay.
just she does remember trying to let me know that my dogs were out. And one occurrence, she knocked on the door and I said, "They're right here." And another one, same dogs, but my dogs' heads were in the window. So she said, "Oh, well, it must not have been yours, because I seen Jem and Luna, like they do, they look out the window on a couch." So she said, "I seen both of them," and the other dogs ran off. And there was a time when they were getting out that I was in search of them, and I came across 2 pit bulls, and I was like, "Not my dogs." And my daughter, when she was attending summer school, was riding her bike and thought she saw Luna, got off her bike and tried to get Luna to come over. It wasn't Luna. So they looked similar enough to where my daughter thought it was our dog, and in the event that I was chasing them, trying to get them to come home, I thought I had them, and they weren't my dogs. So there's at least 2 pit bulls that I know of in my neighborhood.
Okay. You said you had a summary that you wanted
yeah,
to state. Are you going to...
Can I say something?
Sure.
Just one thing, just to be clear, the dogs, I didn't hear you correctly. I couldn't hear you. But just to be clear, they weren't like sniffing each other or trying to like learn each other. Like my dog and I were on my property, and the dogs jumped both to attack her deliberately. They weren't playing, they weren't trying to go anything. My dog was crying, she was hurting, she was being bitten, and she's much tinier. That was just the one thing that I wanted to say. And then the second thing is, I don't recall or received any word. I don't think you ever offered to pay any bills. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm. You were videotaping me from inside your car because you didn't want to get out with me there as well.
I'm sorry?
You were videotaping me inside your car because you said the dogs got out again, and you didn't want, you thought they made...
Oh, I didn't want to get out of my car. Right, the dog came,
and
right.
I apologize. I wasn't there with the incident, so like I said, I don't know how that transpired with your dog.
Right, I know, that's why I'm here to
For instance,
testify.
if
Yeah.
you might smell each other, I don't know how it went down, I apologize.
Yeah. But to your point about the dogs coming, I'm on my driveway, and I opened the door to my car, and the dogs came toward me. One of them, actually, they were both together, but only one of them came toward me. They didn't do anything to me, but they're scary. I'm just saying to me, right? Like, they're not. To you, they're your puppies.
They're not little. They're not little.
They're not
dogs, and
little.
they're scary,
They
I guess, yeah.
just attacked mine. I was scared
I know.
at the
I
moment. So
understand.
when I saw them, of course, I'm going to be scared. But you never offered to pay a bill.
I did. To your husband, I did.
I don't think he would have said no.
He said,
All right, well-
he said, come on my property again, I'll shoot them.
No, he didn't. We don't even own a gun. No, he didn't say that. All right. Anyway,
But, no,
okay, that's all I wanted to
like
say. That's all I
said,
wanted to say.
I feel
Okay.
for many, and I was offering. That's why I walked down there.
It's really not relevant,
No, I know.
so
That's why I said
we can move on.
I would have been willing. I apologize.
Okay,
Madam Magistrate, may I please just have one more word? Looking at, I didn't see these, obviously, the affidavits, but he's got affidavits that multiple other dogs were loose, defined other dogs were loose in his neighborhood. My question then would be, was animal control called at any time by any of those neighbors for loose dogs to come out to that same area? And did animal control at any time during all this time that these dogs were out, did they have any calls that they picked up any other dogs in that area or had calls to that area? Because again, I did a public records request to find out how many times the dogs were at large specifically in that area, and that they have a record of that. But is there any record of any other phone calls being called in to the dogs that the gentleman says are also out there? Because if that's the case, then there should be other records of other dogs being picked up as well. Thank you, ma'am.
Possibly.
well, yeah, there could be. Does the city have any other records of similar dogs in the
I
neighborhood
know of at
at
least
large?
one. I know of at least one we attributed to 974 Winbrook. We called it unfounded. We couldn't find the dogs.
But for other dogs owned by someone else during
No.
that time period?
No.
Okay.
And if I may, unfortunately, when they first started to get out was around the time, it was a couple of times they got out when the incident with Minnie happened. Once that incident with Minnie happened, if they were to get out again, the city was getting called, for sure, with stamped photos. And they're 3
Okay.
houses down from me, so they were able to collect them quickly. I still got fined.
Okay. I have one more question for the former mayor. I'm sorry to make you get up again. So we have the affidavit of Nathaniel Maldonado about the vehicles seen looking for the dogs. Did you see the vehicles?
No, I did not. I did not. I was informed the next day that someone had also called 911, and when the officer went to that house, after he came to my house that evening, the gentleman spoke to him, that was you, right, Larry, and spoke to him and said the driver, the owners were looking for the dogs. And he informed me of that the next day because I had also told him that I would have to undergo rabies shots. And he said, we have a description of the cars. We're going to look around to see if we can find who the owners are of the cars, and we're going to drive around and try to find them and to not undergo the shots and to hold back. But my doctor said, no, I needed to go do that. And that's how that conversation started, by the gentleman up on Anderson saying that. And then calling 911 as well, having the dogs run through his yard, and then seeing the people driving around trying to find them.
So I'm sorry, to be clear, then the code enforcement or the animal control officer or something saw what was, whoever was driving around in
No,
these cars?
the man on Anderson that gave the affidavit, he's the guy that heard me screaming, got in his car, drove around, but I was already back in my house with my dog at that time. He drove home, pulled in his driveway, and was in his car. From what I understand, what he said, then the dogs came through his driveway or through his backyard, because his backyard borders up to the street that I'm on. They're parallel streets. And then he said, Larry, you could probably say what, because he talked to you, right?
Yeah, the dogs cut through his backyard. He saw the tall, tall brown tan dogs running down the street. 2 vehicles showed up, a white SUV Chrysler white SUV and a blue, I think it was a blue Expedition or Explorer, and they were looking for the dogs. He showed them which way they went, which was not towards 974, but close, the neighborhoods. So, and that's what happened.
Okay. Well, let me say this. I think it's clear that there's conflicting evidence here. I'm looking at this affidavit, which seems to suggest that the cars that you've testified are owned by the owner, or the dog owner, were driving around right after the attack looking for the animals. But that is an out-of-court statement. That person is not here to testify. And that would be, I think, the critical information to determine whether or not these were actually his dogs. So I'm suggesting that, and you've asked for a continuance, I'm suggesting that perhaps you want we continue it, but because at this point, I don't have, the witnesses that I would want to hear from about that issue. So I'm suggesting to you that, and you can confer with Ms. Siegel. We can take a couple-minute recess and see what you would like to do. But I think at this point, my suggestion would be we'll continue the case.
And who is Ms. Siegel?
We'll agree to continue.
You'll agree to continue? Okay. All right.
I was requesting a continuance because of the information.
Right.
I've seen the photos now.
And we're agreeing to a
I've
continuance.
seen the photos now. I'd rather handle it today. I don't want to have to do this again. This is nerve-wracking. Mr. Sparling, can I ask you, have our dogs ever been collected with striped collars, either one? She's seen them
None
up
of our
close?
pictures show a striped car.
I have a blue Explorer, a black Explorer, a black Expedition, not a blue Explorer, and a white minivan, not an SUV. I was out of town. There have been numerous reports of other dogs in my neighborhood. If that's not a shadow of a doubt, I don't know what is. I really don't want to have to do this again. This was my son's birthday today. I didn't want to do it today. I feel like with the information and everything that we presented today, that is enough to come to a conclusion, but the only thing you would get is another witness that says he saw us driving around. If he can be present in court, that's all that would change. If we could go ahead and come to a conclusion today, because they weren't my dogs that did the second attack.
Well, again, I think there's conflicting evidence about that, and I think that the best thing to do at this point would be to continue it. You did submit a written request for a continuance, and I think that would be the best thing for all parties, and it would give you the opportunity to review the case file that you now have a copy of, and gather any additional witnesses that you feel you need to have. But I can't base a decision based entirely on hearsay.
I hear that.
And that means I need to have testimony from people here for the most part. So I'm going to suggest that we continue the case, and I think that's the best thing we can do at this point.
Do I have to pay for that continuance?
No,
Or does it-
there's
okay.
no further charge to you.
Okay.
But we'll continue it if everyone's in agreement on that. I guess we'll continue it to the next hearing date, which would be what date?
When is it?
October 25th. So,
Like I said, I'm just nervous. I don't like doing this, and I can't afford an attorney, so I'll have to do this again. But I'll be here.
October 23rd.
23rd, I'll be here.
Okay.
Thank you,
All right.
ma'am.
Thank you. I guess I'll say for purposes of the record, I have, the case file that was submitted, and also then I have the copy of the three, 1, 2, 3 affidavits, and then a letter. So there's 5 pages in total for the dog owner that submitted this as an exhibit. So we'll keep that in the file for the next time. Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry? Yes, yes, thank you. Okay. The next case is Fire 24-0054, 2101 Capri Circle.
This one.
Go ahead.
All right. For the record, my name is Jory Bailey. I am employed by the City of Deltona as a fire safety inspector. This will be case number Fire-054-2024, the City of Deltona versus Grand Avenue ECDC Housing, Inc. The property address is 2101 Capri Circle, Deltona 32738. Parcel ID is 813074420250. This is a violation of City of Deltona Ordinance, Chapter 42, Article 4, Fire Codes, Chapter 42-186, which adopts the most recent edition of the Florida Fire Prevention Code as adopted by the State Fire Marshal, which contains the Florida Pacific version of NFPA 1, Fire Code, Chapter 1.7.12.10, no construction work shall proceed until the ASJ has reviewed the plans for compliance with the applicable codes and standards, and applicable permits have been issued. Corrective action for said violation is to obtain a permit for the installation of the mobile chair and the associated electrical. The statutory requirements for notifications of this hearing has been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code violations were sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser records. In addition, both notices were posted on the property and at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of this evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the special magistrate clerk. I certified any and all photos of this true and accurate portrayal of what I observed on the day they were taken. On March 12, 2024, while conducting a fire safety inspection at this location, amongst other violations, which have since been resolved, I observed what appears to be a newly installed power chair lift and associated electrical inside the stairway. With no permits on file, the property owner was notified that this work would need a permit. Subsequent inspections on May 1st, 2024, June 5th, 2024, July 5th, 2024, August 21st, 2024, and September 18, 2024, found a non-permitted power chair lift still in place and no permits issues. The city would like to request 90 days for the property to come into compliance or a fine of $50 per day until such time that the property owner has notified the city of compliance.
Okay, so with regard to the violation for Chapter 13.1.9,
that has come into compliance for the sprinkler system.
that has come into compliance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you said 90 days?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sir, can you state your name and address for the record?
Mark Nichols, I'm 2101 Capri Circle.
Okay. What would you like to tell me about the case?
I have well, I tried to get the permit and the stuff myself, then they said I couldn't do it. I sent the money, everything. They sent it back and said I have to have an elevator people do it. So I have a signed proposal where we give them half the money already. They are working on the permit as we speak to come into compliance. I have it all here where we paid in August for half of it, and they're supposed to be getting a permit and stuff.
You paid the contractor, or
yes, yes.
Okay.
They wanted half down. They wanted $2,000 to do it. So everything is, I just need some more time is all.
Right. Okay. Well, they've said 90 days.
Yeah,
which,
that's fine. That's great.
Yeah, and frankly, that's longer than normal.
I don't really need that much.
So I will. Well, so I think 90 days would be more than sufficient. Is there anything else you need to add before I make the ruling?
Do you want to see this?
The
copy
contractor.
of the contract and stuff that we got with the Deltona elevator?
Okay. Is it? Could you bring it forward for me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, but this is a separate proposal, correct?
I don't know what that is. I can't.
Okay, I'm really just looking at the Daytona.
Yeah, that's fine.
Elevator letter, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other one, the other one's a signed proposal from the manager.
Okay.
So we got 90 days. We'll bring it up.
Yeah. Okay. We can. Can we keep this? Well,
yeah, you can keep it. I got another copy of it.
Okay, I'm going to keep this for the record.
Okay.
All right. I can give these other two back, though. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to find the respondent in this case in violation of the city code as charged, and that respondent correct the violation before 4:00 p.m. on, that's December 24th is 90 days, so let's do a different day. That's not Christmas Eve. Can we do what would that be, is it the 27th, that Friday?
Yeah, the 27th.
27th would be the Friday. Yeah, let's do December 27th. That gives you a little more than 90 days.
Okay.
In the event respondent does not comply by this date, a fine in the amount of $50 per day will be imposed for each day the violation continues past the aforestated date. Respondent is further ordered to contact the code inspector to verify compliance with this order. I'm admitting the case file and PowerPoint as exhibits, as well as the Daytona elevator letter with a date of July 29th, 2024. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to mark it as an exhibit? Do you want me to write it on there? There we go. Thank you. All right, the next case is DEL 24-092, 1810 Hallcrest Avenue, or Hallcrest Drive, excuse me.
My name is Nicholas Lopez. I'm employed by the City of Deltona as a code compliance officer. This will be case number DL-24-092, the City of Deltona versus Roberto Bonilla. The property address is 1810 Hallcrest Drive, Deltona, Florida, 32725-3816. The parcel ID number is 813-065-070-170. This is a violation of City of Deltona Ordinance, Section 18-3, adopting the latest edition of the Florida Building Code, Section 105.1, which states that any owner, authorized agent who intends to construct, enlarge, alter, repair, move, demolish, or change the occupancy of a building or structure, or to erect, install, enlarge, alter, repair, remove, convert, or replace any electrical, gas, mechanical, or plumbing system, the installation of which is regulated by this code, or to cause any such work to be done, shall first make application to the building official and obtain the required permit. Corrective action for said violation is to: you must obtain a permit for the structure addition to the home. Applications must be submitted to the City of Deltona, 2345 Providence Boulevard, Deltona, Florida, 32725. The structure must meet all requirements of city ordinance and be approved on final inspection. Contact our office with the permit number when obtained. The statutory requirements for notification of this hearing have been met by the city. The notice of hearing and notice of code violation were sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence submitted in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the special magistrate clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day they were taken. On July 16, 2024, a large structure was observed built on a property without a permit. A resident allowed Deltona code enforcement to enter the structure. A notice of violation was then hand-delivered. Multiple home additions were observed on the property without a permit. As of today, September 25, 2024, the property remains in violation with no permits on file. The city would like to request 30 days for the property to come into compliance, or a fine of $50 per day to be imposed until such time that the property owner has notified the city of compliance.
Okay, thank you. So can you describe what I'm looking at here? Is this what kind of addition are we talking about?
Can you start from the beginning, Jessica? The older photos to today. Or Todd, excuse me. So what we're looking at is in the rear yard of the property. They built what looks to be a suite for a family member, and currently it's incomplete. There's multiple things that will require a permit here: plumbing, electrical, there was drywall that was installed, roofing material, there were appliances installed in there, AC unit, a shower, toilet, and even a home phone in there as well.
Okay. And you said there's no permit on file currently?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Sir, can you state your name and address for the record?
My name is Fernando Bonilla, 1810 Hallcrest Drive, Deltona, Florida, 32725.
Okay. Are you okay, sir?
I had a stroke, and that's why I talk like that. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm just making sure you're all right.
I have a rep from the company of engineers that if you allow me, he can talk for me. Right now, I'm representing my father. I have power of attorney. I do have the papers here, and he can come over and explain for me. Can he?
Yes. Yes, you have someone here who can speak for you?
Yeah. Can I do that?
Yes.
Thanks.
Can you state your name and address for the record?
My name is Sean Brock, address 2295 South Hiawassee Road, JWB Architects. We were by Mr. Bonilla. We just signed, actually, today to rectify everything that's going on. So we'll be representing them as far as getting the permits, or helping them get the permits, but we'll give them the drawings to submit to the City of Deltona, make sure everything's in accordance with code and everything. But I would ask, he does have some medical issues, and he's taken, what he was saying, trying to tell you was that he was taking care of his father, which has dementia, the starts of dementia. So he's had a lot of ongoing things. He contacted us a while back, but just at the time he ended up having a stroke, and he couldn't really do anything. He couldn't really speak with us or retain us or anything. So I would just ask that the city give us some time, because it's going to take a little more than 30 days, which is what I think code enforcement asked for. It's going to take more than that to just document the existing structure and what's going on.
City, are you willing to, in agreement with further time? I mean, in order to do drawings and submit a permit for a structure, and as you said, for multiple permits, I assume?
Yes, ma'am.
That, I assume, would take some time. So can you comment on that?
We can do 60 days. I also forgot to mention the windows. There was multiple windows installed in there as well.
Okay.
60 days will be fine. If he can't get a permit, I would like to say on the record to encourage them to get a demolition permit so they can take all that stuff down and start over if need be. But that's all we got.
Okay. All right. I think 60 days is more reasonable.
Can I just ask, and that might be possible, can I just ask that you leave it open if we do contact code enforcement, if we're not right at the 60-day deadline, if we can contact code enforcement and kind of just and get a little bit longer? Or, I mean,
no.
It's
no.
All right. We'll
I established a time to comply. And so that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I don't have, open time frames. So that's the purpose of this hearing.
May I add
yes.
one more thing? A few times I tried to talk to Mr. Lopez. He used to go to the house, but I didn't know what for. And I asked him. He says, no, don't worry, go. Finally I said, why you talk to the other person and you don't tell me what's going on? He says, he's the owner. No, he's not. My father is. That's when he showed me the papers, and I came this next day to this area and explained that I didn't know anything. I was ignorant in the time when it comes to construction, while I was in and out of the hospital. And please, it's just not fair to all the things that are happening to me. All I tried was to create a replica for my father in the back, so he thinks he's in the other house. That's the reason I'm putting everything there, because make it look exactly like the way he used to live 40 years ago.
I understand, and but I'm gonna grant additional time, which is 60 days, so you can get the permits and do what you need to do to build your project, and hopefully you can do that within the 60 days. Okay? All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Anything else from the city?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I'm going to make my ruling. I find respondent in this case in violation of the city code as charged, and that respondent correct the violation before 4:00 p.m. on Monday, November 25th.
Thank you.
In the event that respondent does not comply by this date, a fine in the amount of $50 per day will be imposed for each day the violation continues past the aforestated date. Respondent is further ordered to contact the code compliance officer to verify compliance with this order. So again, please make sure you stay in contact with Mr. Lopez. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this is case DEL 24-089-2265, Bannister Street.
Before we start, I'd like to make one minor amendment. My 64-and-a-half-year-old fingers missed the T on the Robert, just on the cover sheet of the exhibits. Everything else is correct in all of the notices of violation. Everything else is correct.
I see. Thank you.
The other thing I'd like to say is I think Larry left with my glasses.
Oh, no.
My name is Steve Brock. I think I can wing it.
He needs to present the case, and then I'll call you up, okay?
Are these two? Are those readers go great? Oh, perfect. Almost. I've got extra pair at my desk. My name is Steve Brockhoff. I'm employed with the City of Deltona as Code Compliance Officer. This will be case number DEL 24-089, City of Deltona versus Robert M. Smith and Kathleen Nocella. Property address is 2265 Bannister Street, 32738. Parcel ID number is 8130452400090. This is a violation of City of Deltona Ordinance Section 66-19, subsection 3, improper parked trailer, RV, or boat. Violation of City of Deltona Ordinance, which states that boats, trailers, recreational vehicles shall not be parked or stored either within the public right-of-way or within the portion of the lot lying across the full width of the lot between the front lot line and the frontmost part of the principal structure. Statutory requirements of this notification of the hearing have been met. Notice of hearing and notice of violation have been sent certified, mailed to the property owner listed in property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices have been posted at City Hall and on the property at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All evidence in this case, including photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the code board clerk. I certify that all photographs be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed the day they were taken. This case began June 17th when the city received a complaint from the neighbor across the street regarding multiple vehicles parking improperly in regards to a business similar to landscaping. I did not witness personally the violation until June 30th, and I spoke with a resident who stated that he was going to be renting an area to store the things at the earlier part of the following month. I gave him a parking flyer. I witnessed a violation again on August 18th, posted the notice of violation with a compliance date of August 28th. On August 22nd, the city received a complaint from the neighbor regarding so many trucks and vehicles blocking, improperly parked, that the a school bus had difficulties getting by. On September 3rd, I witnessed the violation again, and this is after the compliance date, so I requested a special magistrate hearing. I spoke with the respondent Tuesday evening, and he has been in compliance, not Sunday, but Monday and Tuesday. He has been in compliance, and he stated that now he does have a place to park the vehicles. So what the city is requesting is that the case be found in noncompliance at after the posted violation compliance date and be closed with no fine. However, we would like the case to be closed and adjudicated so that it would be a repeat violator if it reoccurs.
Okay, and can you tell me again the last date that you saw the violation?
I witnessed violation on this last Sunday. There was a trailer parked in the right-of-way, but when I set up for the date was after the compliance date of the 28th, and that would be September 3rd. And if you look at picture 2, the date, picture 2, the date on there is for September 3rd.
Okay.
But once again, he has been in compliance Monday and Tuesday. And
okay, I just have one question, which is in the corrective action, it says to park on the side of the house or in the rear, but not within the side street yard.
That's
is this
correct.
A side?
And that's why I gave him the parking flyer that explained how he could park legally and keep trailers on site. The problem with this is the property situation. I don't think he can get those larger trailers back behind. And although those are options, and I gave him a parking flyer that listed that, I think he decided it was easiest to find a place other than that to park, to maintain the property in compliance, because he did have occasionally had employees showing up that it just
But my question is, this is not the side yard right here. This is the front yard.
Right, and under the ordinance, trailers can never be parked in the right-of-way, and you'll see the one trailer is parked in the right-of-way.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Sir, did you, can you state your name and address for the record?
Robert Smith, 2265 Bannister Street, Deltona, Florida.
What would you like to tell me?
When I had talked to him, I had promised him that I would have it corrected and stuff, and I promised him by a certain day, and he's right. I didn't do what I said I was going to do, but my daughter died, and I got her death certificate right here, and I told him about it. And, pretty much, I guess, they thought I was not telling the truth, but if you want a copy of that. But I took care of everything.
No, I understand your testimony. Okay. I mean, I think, but...
I moved in. I bought the house March 10th, and the lady harassed me, within... that's because my 2-year-old son had ran in her yard, so she got pissed off at me, and that's what started all this. But I fixed all that, and I know what the right thing is to do. And but these guys have been great to me. And yeah.
Well, he's asking, which I'm going to do.
That won't happen again. I know the rules.
Is to find that a violation did exist, but there won't be any fine right now. But if it recurs.
No,
then,
I understand. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. So I'm going to make the ruling. I find respondent in this case was in violation of the city code as charged and failed to correct the violation by the time specified for correction by the code compliance officer, that the violation is now corrected and no fine be imposed. Any violation of the same code by the respondent within 5 years from the date of this order shall be treated as a repeat violation for which a fine of up to $500 per day may be imposed. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this is case Fire 24-0032, Massey 577 Deltona Boulevard.
Good evening, Your Honor. For the record, my name is Samuel Schaller, applied by the City of Deltona as the Assistant Fire Marshal. This will be case number Fire 32-2024, City of Deltona versus Deltona Square, LLC. The property address is 577 Deltona Boulevard, Suite 12, Deltona, Florida, 32725. Parcel ID is 803-605-090-040. This is a Massey case. The statutory requirements for notification of this hearing have been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code violations sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted at City Hall and on the property at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the Special Magistrate Clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day they were taken. This was initially a case for a violation of Chapter 42, Article 4 Fire Codes, Chapter 42-186, which adopts the latest edition of the Florida Fire Prevention Code. In specific, the Florida edition of NFPA 1, Chapter 1.7.12.10, which states no construction work shall proceed till the authority having jurisdiction has reviewed the plans for compliance with the applicable codes and standards, and the applicable permits have been issued. And Chapter 11.1.7.3.1, which states that each disconnecting means shall be legibly marked to indicate its purpose, unless located and arranged so the purpose is evident. Marking shall be of sufficient durability to withstand the environment involved. In other than one or two family dwellings, the marking shall include the identification of the circuit source that supplies the disconnecting means. It was ruled on July 2nd, 2024. The property owner was given 30 days to comply. The owner did not come into compliance within those 30 days and has been receiving a fine of $50 per day since August 2nd, 2024. As of today, the property has accrued a total fine of $2,750 over 55 days. In closing, the city is requesting that the fines continue at $50 per day until such property owner has notified the city of compliance and compliance is verified by a fire safety inspector.
Okay, so there have been no permit applications submitted at this time?
A permit was applied for, Your Honor, on July 15th, 2024, and was rejected the next day as an insufficient submittal. Yesterday, a response to comments was dropped off, and I actually picked it up on my way here. It will also be grossly insufficient as any form of permitting documents, and I also brought a copy to be entered into the record.
These were submitted when?
This is actually, what I'm holding right now, actually is the original drawing, what was submitted on July 15th and then rejected the next day. It looks like the contractor wrote on here now, electrical outlet, 6 outlets, and spa chairs, GFI.
Okay. And this was for, I'm going back through there were interior walls, and then, oh yeah, multiple electrical receptacles were added, right?
Yes, ma'am, and it actually appears, even after the initial hearing following that, more work was continued to be done without a permit. During today's inspection to obtain pictures of this air handler, which did appear new. It was confirmed that was new. The manufacturer's date on it is actually August 2024.
Okay.
There was also a large hole cut in the wall where it looks like they removed the old one and installed this one.
Okay. Well, that's not relevant to to the initial violation, but is there anything else you needed to add? Okay. No. Sir, can you state your name and address for the record?
Arthur Otteson, 2675 Old New York.
Okay. What would you like to tell me about the case?
We did hire a contractor originally, and we've had multiple contractors contacted that we wanted to take the case but couldn't because a lot of people won't hang their license under work that's already been done. We finally found people to do it, but every time that the general contractor goes to get a permit, there's something else that needs to be done. Now, as of today, I was just told that they're needing an engineering permit for the walls, which originally we were told that engineering or some type of engineering or something to do with the HVAC, which was a ventilation. Originally, when I spoke to Bailey and Sam via email, I asked them what it was, and it was for the ventilation for the nail. They said that, Bailey said that it could either be removed and a portable one could be put in, and that could solve the HVAC problem. No problem. That was taken care of, and everything. The hole was taken care of. Everything was taken care of. Every time that they seem to go to get a permit, so they tell us something new comes about. We had a problem with registering with the companies with Volusia and Deltona with their liability. Don't know what that means, but they told us that they had to register with you guys because they're out of county. also. All the general contractor's asking for is give us a permit for the electrical and the plumbing so we can get it done. I guess the engineering part is holding up the permit to get the master permit. We're trying our best at everything. The city of Deltona is stating they don't know a lot what's going on because they're referring back to the fire marshal. It's going back and forth, and we're trying our best to do everything possible. We stated that we'd get a general contractor, they put in a permit, it got rejected. Every time it's got rejected, they've gone back and forth. I'm spending thousands of dollars on this. You know, we were at right around the corner at the same plaza for 8 years. We bought it from the original owner, we never had a problem. I understand that this property manager on this complex has a bad past with the city of Deltona, fire marshals, and we're looking to solve any problems that we possibly can with our unit. We don't care about nobody else's unit, but a lot of this stuff's getting reflected back on us, we feel. And all we need to do is get it under control. Tell us what we need. We don't want the fines. I'm spending too much. I'm spending thousands and thousands on something that shouldn't have been. You know, when we originally seen the place, we didn't know that we needed something to take down a door. We acquired everybody else's problems that was there. That's fine. We will acquire it. We don't have a problem. We'll get all the permits necessary for it. We just need to know what, and give us a plumbing permit and electrical permit so that we can do that and get engineering. Don't know what we need an engineering permit for, but supposedly, I just got a text message. I guess the engineer spoke to you today.
I didn't speak to anybody today.
He spoke to someone in the fire department or somewhere that's stating that they got what they needed and we need to get blueprints drawn. For what? I don't know. It's a nail salon. A lot of the walls were up. Everything was up. But we'll take whatever needs to be done.
Apparently this wall was not up.
All we did was take a door down. The original owner or the original tenants did other work. And we're acquiring that. That's fine. We will acquire that. We're not saying that. We did take a door down. I mean, for taking the door down, we'll pull permits. We'll do whatever needs to be done.
Okay. So for the city, I mean, are you aware that they've been told they have to have engineered drawings at this point for the wall?
So not just the wall in particular. Now, there is language in Florida State Statute 553, which is what dictates building permits, building codes, adopts the Florida Building Code by default, et cetera. In 553, there is language regarding when a drawing has to be engineered. In a way, it leaves it up to the building official, but generally large projects like this where, excuse me, I'm not the city's building official, I don't mean to speak on his behalf, but Florida Building Code Mechanical requires a ventilation and exhaust system and filtration system whenever you're doing manicure and pedicure procedures because of the chemicals involved. Usually you need an engineer to make the judgment on what's the proper CFMs, where do I need to put it, fan size, things of that nature. In regarding the multiple submittals, I have no information on that. All I know is that the permit was applied for on July 15th, was rejected the next day, and then we never heard anything, didn't have any contact from anybody until yesterday is when I received a call from somebody asking if they could drop off. Really couldn't understand what she was asking me. It was just if she could drop off a set of electrical plans, and then this was the electrical plans that were dropped off.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I drew that because we were told that we needed a scope of what the nail salon looked like. So I submitted that to the contractor and everything like that. Didn't know what he needed. I just gave him a quick drawing of what it looked like and everything like that. That was, I have it back when we originally came, because here's the original. Back when I was speaking to them in the court and everything, like I said, I don't know because I hire these people. We went through a couple contractors originally, and now we went through all these, and we do have contractors that attach their license and everything to the general contractor's license, the plumber and the electrician. But they cannot release, I guess, a permit, from what I'm understanding, a general permit for us to do it without now a mechanical or engineering permit. That's the problem that we're having. Every time we go, we get rejected on it. I mean, if we can't get the permit, how can we resolve the problem? We want to resolve the problem.
Right. Well,
And it wasn't just yesterday that all this has been done. This has been going on and on and on, back and forth with us and the general contractor and the city. Yes, it's taken some time to find an electrician and a plumber to attach because work was done by other people there. We don't know,
Okay. Well, at this point, it's a Massey hearing, which means all I'm really determining is whether or not you came into compliance within the time that I previously ordered, which was August 1st. Mm-hmm. And, we're obviously, quite a few days after that. So it's been quite some time. So, I mean, I can understand you're having difficulty. However, it's been quite a while. So,
but ma'am, if we applied in July, and they keep on turning us down, then the city's saying one thing, and then they're kicking it back to the fire marshal. Nobody can give us a direct answer. How do we solve this problem? Because still today, we can't get a permit. We can't get a full permit for it.
Well, right. But from my understanding, what I've heard is that now you have been told what needs to be done, which is that you need engineer drawings.
But engineering drawings for what? That's nobody. Go ahead.
So do you understand what a permit is? A permit is you're applying that you're going to do work. Okay. You haven't already done it. Okay. In the process to apply for a permit, like let's say I'm going to build a 7-Eleven.
Yes.
Before I break ground, I have to submit a set of drawings. Those drawings have to be scaled, they have to be detailed, and show a total scope of work. Okay. I can't release a permit in good faith, nor can the building official on a sketch. Okay. And that is all the contractor submitted still. Okay. Is your hand-drawn sketch.
To do plumbing and to do electrical that has nothing to do with the wall or anything like that. We can't release something like that.
Nobody's applied for a plumbing or electrical permit. I
have it right here.
No. Okay, let's be clear. My order and the violation that was before me back in July was related to an interior wall that had been removed and a new interior wall was constructed. Is that the wall that keeps, playing in the pictures that is sort of like has the decorative feature on it?
Yes, the decorative feature. The large wall in the middle of the room. That
one right there in the September 25th picture. That's the wall we're talking about?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That is so that's the only thing that you need to obtain the permit for, as well as whatever electrical is in that wall, at least for curing this violation. So there may be other issues that you have to resolve with the city on, I don't know, HVAC or plumbing or what have you, but to cure this violation and to stop fines running, the permit is, related to that wall.
That wall was already pre-existing there, though. That's what we've said. We'll take care of that wall. The electrical, they're saying, is on another wall. That's the problem. When I spoke to Officer Bailey over the phone, he said it was on the opposite wall that the problem was. And the plumbing's not even in there, so I don't understand. Is it in this wall, or is it on the opposite wall that we're having the issue with? Or is it both?
It's the entire suite.
Well,
there's new electrical throughout the entire suite.
Okay, but the violation that was brought to me was about the electrical receptacles added along, and that was, the electrical was about being added in the entire suite. That's what I have in my order. But the wall was that specific wall that we're looking at right now. It just changed. But this one with the decorative feature. So in order to cure these violations, it has nothing to do with plumbing. Nothing to do with plumbing. There may be other violations that could be, cited, but right now, to come into compliance with the order, it's related to that wall and to getting your permits for electrical in the entire suite.
Okay.
Okay?
Is there any way that I can have 30 days to do that with no fines? I mean, my guys will work
because
on
I
it.
already gave you 30 days.
Well,
that was the point.
I apologize. I mean, we only can do what we can with, other contractors and everything like that. Our hands are tied. Like I said, I'm trying my best at everything. I mean, if you can give me 30 days with, halting the fines, my guys are working on it,
Yeah. So again, I'm not going to do that because I already gave 30 days at the July hearing. I gave 30 days for you to come into compliance.
Okay.
So the testimony has been that, there aren't permits that have been obtained for those two things that we discussed, the wall and then the electrical work. Whether or not there are additional permits that you need are not related to coming into compliance and stopping the fines.
Do these blueprints need to be stamped or anything?
Do the what? I'm sorry?
Blueprints need to be stamped?
That would be something to talk to the building official about, but generally engineering drawings do need to be, stamped and certified by the engineer. Okay. So if that's what they're telling you what's needed.
Well, they're telling us no. They're telling us no when we go. When the runner goes, they're saying that it doesn't need to be. So, I mean. Well,
again, I can't speak for the building official, but, okay, I'm going to find that respondent in this case failed to correct the violation by the time specified in special magistrate's prior order in this case, and the fine will be imposed as set forth in that order and will continue to run until the property is brought into compliance and an affidavit of compliance has been filed by the code compliance officer. Respondent shall notify the code compliance officer to verify compliance. I would suggest to you that you stay in contact with Mr. Schaller, and also, you can talk to Mr. Ron about possibly applying for a lien reduction at the end of this, but that's something you can discuss offline. Yeah. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next case is Fire 24-0033, Massey case, 600 Fort Smith Boulevard.
For the record, my name is Samuel Schaller, employed by the City of Deltona as the Assistant Fire Marshal. This will be case number 533, 2024, City of Deltona versus Florida District Church of the Nazarene. Property address is 600 Fort Smith Boulevard, Deltona, Florida, 32738. Parcel ID is 813-400-0042. This is a Massey case. Statutory requirements for notification of this hearing have been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code violation sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted at City Hall and on the property at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence in this case, including photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the special magistrate clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day they were taken. This was initially a case for a violation of Chapter 42, Article 4, Fire Codes, Chapter 42-186, which adopts the latest edition of the Florida Fire Prevention Code, in specific, the Florida edition of NFPA 1, Chapter 1.7.12.10, which states no construction work shall proceed till the authority having jurisdiction has reviewed the plans for compliance with the applicable codes and standards and the applicable permits have been issued. It was ruled on July 2nd, 2024. Property owner was given 45 days to comply. Property owner did not come into compliance within those 45 days and has been receiving a fine of $50 per day since August 17, 2024. As of today, the property has accrued a total fine of $2,000 over 40 days. And in closing, the city is requesting that the fines continue at $50 per day until such property owner is notified the city of compliance and compliance is verified by a fire safety inspector.
Okay. So remind me, so we had for the 1.7.12.10, that was related to building the stage. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor. Let me pull up my notes on the case. I apologize. All right. So on my list here, I have constructing a platform in the sanctuary with associated electrical. The drum booth, that's also on that same platform/stage. An existing means of egress door was walled off, and the area where it was turned into a sound booth, so new walls and electrical were constructed there. Another wall was opened to create a new means of egress. There was 2 doors that were moved, 2 interior doors that actually turns out they were on a load-bearing wall. They were moved, relocated, and then a wall was built inside of another small room without a permit. And that is it. So several things.
Okay. And it was only a violation of 1.7.12.10.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. 11.1.5.6 was in compliance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, and there was no permit that has been submitted at the state, or, oh no, I think at the time even there had been one applied for, but it was insufficient, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. We had a permit applied for June 17th, 2024. It was rejected the same day. We had a resubmittal sent into the building department last Monday, September 16th, 2024. It was also rejected that same day.
Okay. Do you know the reasons, or?
Yes, ma'am. I brought our permit corrections report with us with the plan review comments. The most recent submittal has a small list of things. Occupant load was yeah, it was the resubmittal was missing still a little bit of information. When I conducted a site visit with the building official just after the previous hearing, a few things that we'd also identified had been done were not shown on those plans that were resubmitted, and we're still missing a set of electrical plans and a electrical contractor added to the permit, according to the plan review comments.
Okay. All right, sir, can you state your name and address for the record?
My personal address?
Or your business address?
Was Felix Fresi's 93 Charles Lane in Flagler Beach, Florida 32136.
Okay. And are you associated with a church or a contractor?
Yes, I was the one that was retained to take over this from by the church.
Okay, so you're the contractor?
I'm the general contractor.
Okay.
So, can I?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
So, when we last came out here, we had just applied for that permit. That's when I was just retained for that, and everything that went on. So, when we got the comments with a rejection, the engineer himself was a little confused in understanding of the rejection. So I requested a meeting with Sam and the building official, see if we can meet at the church. Now there, we're thinking, okay, so we're going to go through what they want us to correct and what to do so we can get it on the plans. But as Sam was walking around, I know there's a few things that he just added to us, like a little nursery window, like a plexiglass that we have there, and certain little details like that. It took 6 weeks for this engineer to get the plans done. The same day that they were ready, I brought them into the city because they say that you can't upload, you have to bring them in person. So I brought them in person almost immediately. The city lady told me, you'll know if the permit is ready to be picked up, or whatever issue you have, we'll have it, you'll receive an email. So now I'm just waiting, and I got curious because I haven't heard anything. So I got into the email this morning. I tried to get into the website, and I found the permit. Now I saw that the very next day there was a correction, another rejection. Now the very first time, Sam had written about 9 or 10 rejection comments. On this new one, There's an additional 9. But what I'm confused about here is that, for example, we do have an electrician on file, but that's on one of the comments. He's asking us, we didn't know this before, he's asking us to pull up another permit for a pool fire alarm by a door that's been there for 10 years, and that fire alarm and that pool alarm has been inspected prior. So now, if this is something new that we have to pull another separate permit for, I don't even know what that's about in that case. So I feel a little conflicted or confused because we're trying to answer what we need to do here, and at the same time, now that we submitted this, other issues came up. So at this point, I just have to relay it back. I sent it back to the engineer so he can review and see if he can answer. Now, another thing is that the same person, like Sam next to me, is the same person that's filing the complaint and doing, did everything, is here with us now, but he's also the same person at the city who makes the decision to release or that's reviewing the plans. So to me, it's like, I find that as a conflict because we bring it to you, I have it in his handwriting that, I'll give you another example, I have in his own handwriting that the load calcs for this project to have a total, a cumulative total. And now that we submitted that, he's saying, well, I want to see a formula as to how you came to that total. But that total, the engineer put it on there with his stamp and his signature, which means that it's no good. We have to put a formula and a math problem on there to prove how we came to that total. So I really want to resolve this. I want to get out of it already, to be honest with you. And at this point, we're just going to work on those comments that he put on there as best as we can, and again, resubmit.
Okay. I guess I'll just say I want to be clear that if there are additional things that are being found during inspections that were not presented to me as a violation or as part of the violation, then they shouldn't be added, right, as additional requirements such that they would hold up getting a permit. You see what I'm saying? I want to make sure that we're only requiring permits for the things that were actually identified in the case before me. So if there are additional things that you find, then you would need to open a new case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay,
This doesn't have anything to do with anything additional that was found.
Okay.
It's just the permitting issues.
Okay. Well, that's not what,
Well, that was my confusion. It's the fire alarm, which I have a picture that you can tell that it's been there for years by that door where you say it's a nursery, not the nursery, that education door. There's a door there and there's a pool fire alarm there. But that's been there for like 10 years, been inspected prior by the fire department. So why would we need another permit for that? Because that's on your notes today.
I'm actually just as confused as you are because I never wrote that.
Okay, so it's on here. So I guess we can.
It needs to be shown on the plans.
Okay.
Your engineer only showed a portion fire alarm system. They didn't show the entire where the devices are in correspondence with the egress doors. Okay. Which was one of the items that was brought forward originally. I did not request a separate permit. In regards to the occupant load breakdown too, generally when an engineer presents an occupant load, there's a table and it has square footage, the factor they used, what the number, it's not a mathematical formula.
Right.
Unfortunately, this engineer just provided a total. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what factor he used to accomplish that occupant load.
Right. And that's understandable. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to go ahead and make my ruling. I find that respondent in this case failed to correct the violation by the time specified in the special magistrate's prior order in this case, and the fine will be imposed as set forth in that order and will continue to run until the property is brought into compliance with an affidavit of compliance has been filed by the code compliance officer. Respondent shall notify the code compliance officer to verify compliance. So please make sure that you stay in contact with Mr. Schaller. Hopefully you guys can discuss offline some of the miscommunications that seem to be happening. It's apparent that we're well beyond August 16th, and a permit has not been issued for the work that was identified in my prior order.
Okay.
So, and I'm going
sorry.
to go ahead and admit the case file as well as the PowerPoint and find the notices were properly given in this case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll send you an email.
All right, this is case DEL 24-091, 1540 Gainesville Drive.
My name is Nicholas Lopez. I'm employed by the City of Deltona as a code compliance officer. This will be case number DEL-24-091, the City of Deltona versus Francisco Brito and Freddie Nancy Brito. The property address is 1540 Gainesville Drive, Deltona, Florida 32725. The parcel ID number is 813-0722600010. This is a violation of City of Deltona Ordinance Section 18-5, adopting the latest edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, Section 302.7, which states all accessory structures, including detached garages, fences, and walls, shall be maintained and kept in good repair and sound structural condition. Corrective action for said violation is to repair or remove the shed. The statutory requirements for notification of this hearing have been met by notice of hearing and notice of code violation were sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the special magistrate clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed and the data were taken. On February 5th, 2024, a shed was observed in disrepair at the aforementioned property. A door hanger was left at the residence. As of today, September 25th, 2024, the property is still in violation. The city would like to request 30 days for the property to come into compliance or a fine of $50 per day to be imposed until such time that the property owner has notified the city of compliance.
Did you say 50?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so are these pictures from today or? I can't tell.
They'll get you the today pictures shortly.
Okay, thank you. So these are the today pictures?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
It was pouring rain, so I took one picture and left.
Okay, so I'm just trying to, the repairs would be, is there an entire side that's missing? Is that looking into the shed?
So I'm not quite sure if that's a door that's just open in that picture.
Oh, okay.
But
I'm just trying to understand what I'm looking at in the picture.
But the shed, the main issue is that the shed is starting to lean over to the point where, it could fall if a hurricane is strong enough to push it down, for lack of a better term.
And there's obviously like rot or damage of the wood on the outside.
Correct. It looks like there's rotted plywood that's just starting to completely wear away, and I think that's what's causing the shed to start to lean.
Okay. All right, thank you. As property owner here? Not you? Okay, they may have left.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to find a respondent, in this case in violation of the city code, as charged, and that respondent correct the violation before 4:00 p.m. on October 25th, 2024. In the event respondent does not comply by the state, a fine in the amount of $50 per day will be imposed for each day that the violation continues past the aforestated date. Respondent is further ordered to contact the code compliance officer to verify compliance with this order. And I'm going to admit the case file and PowerPoint as exhibits, and I find the notices were properly given in this case.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. What
Can we bring 779 Tulip for the next case?
Oh, is that the? Okay, but is this, which one is this?
No, this is the
Unless this young lady has
Okay.
been waiting.
Then
I'm not
this
sure who's here
person
first.
probably left. Is that what we're thinking? Okay, all right, yeah, we'll move on to the one that's on Zoom. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to do, this is DEL 23-184, which is 1571 Pendleton Street first, and then I will get to your case next, okay?
She's going to unmute.
Okay.
And then she's ready to go.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
My name is Todd Mead. I'm employed by the City of Deltona as a compliance officer. This will be case DEL 23184, City of Deltona versus TAH MS Borrower LLC, care of Tricon American Homes LLC. The property address is 1571 Pendleton Street, Deltona, 32725. The parcel ID number is 813-011-230-510. This is a hearing to have the fines reduced on the property that is with a no permit that was not achieved in the time of the ruling. This case was presented at Special Magistrate in May 24 of 2023, and again as a Massey in September 27th of 2023. The case was in violation of a no permit on the fence and was placed on the property, and it's a violation of the Section 18-3, Florida Building Code 105.1, which is a no permit case. It was ruled that the property had 60 days to come into compliance before a fine would accrue at $50 a day. The property was not able to come into compliance until 331 days after the initial ruling. The property at this time has a fine totaling $16,550. The city recommends that the fine not be reduced and remains that the property owner is responsible for the full amount. The property owner is requesting a reduction from $16,550 to $1,655.
Okay. Is the applicant for this is TAH MS Borrower LLC for the lien reduction? Or is it a new owner?
It is the same. Tricon represents the owner of the property.
Okay, so Tricon is the applicant for the lien reduction?
Yes, that's
Okay.
representing the owner.
And so it was 331 days of non-compliance?
Yes, they had, when they finally got in touch, the time had surpassed the Massey, and their office representatives began getting a contractor in line to get the permit pulled. I think that contractor failed to get that permit even after the ruling, and the time had still continued on until they did get the permit, and then we ended the fine at $16,000.
Okay. It was a newly installed fence, so it wasn't in disrepair, correct?
That was a newly installed fence, yes.
Newly installed fence. Okay. And what is the city's reasoning for opposing a reduction?
Just that they had plenty of time. We served, the certified mailings were signed for through the office, and there was contact made in getting the direction to get the permit for the property. I didn't think they had, from what I talked to the young lady Wanda with, it was someone was working on it, and they left the company, and basically they didn't pass forward the information to get it done in time. So it was basically on air. They knew the permit was required. They did do a prior property, was back here a while ago with same representative, same company owning the property, but their permit, they're basically an inter-office, things aren't being followed through on that side. Their certified mailings are going, they're being signed for, yet the local contact to get in touch to get, is not following through to get that done for them.
Did we do, I'm sorry, did we do a lien reduction request for that?
Yes, and that was, I'm trying to recall the address. It was like $49,000. It went through the process, went to the commission. The commission did not approve of any reduction.
But what did I make the recommendation?
I believe
what was my recommendation?
Your recommendation was.
Yes, what was my recommendation?
I can't quote that number, but you did recommend a number to the commission.
Mm-hmm.
The commission did not accept that.
Okay.
I know the city, I did do what you should have in the file, what the cost of the officer working the case. It should be in that you could see what the initial or the overall cost that the city had incurred through an employee working the case. Should be roughly, it's a little, I think it's,
do you know where it is? At the back? Okay, so you have, your costs are estimated at $1,419?
yes, for the officer and the legal documents mailed and stuff like that, but the city incurred that cost amount.
Okay. And I'm just curious, was my recommendation last time to reduce it to the costs?
No, it was more than that.
It was more. I just don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was $5,000. I think.
Okay.
That's in my head, but I don't want to get on record.
Yeah. Okay.
Being
all right.
correct.
That's kind of what was in my head too, and okay. All right. Ma'am, do you want to, can you state your name and address for the record, and what would you like to tell me about the request?
Yes, my name is Wanda Mendez. My address is 1615 East Marks Drive, Tampa, Florida, 33604. That is my personal home address, not the company address. Just want to make that clear. With regards to this case, there were two violations at two different properties. The one that the officer mentioned has been resolved and paid in full without any reduction. I just wanted to clarify that has been resolved. But this one, we are asking consideration for both cases. I was the one who inherited the chaos, and I promptly moved to correct the concern. Unfortunately, the person that was responsible for these, they left without providing any information for the next person taking in charge. So, but immediately after I found this, I took part of it and we moved quickly to resolve. What we're asking is consideration for a reduction. Of course, at this point, I'm at your mercy with the decision, and hope that you consider perhaps the costs for the city for all these, the work that they have put into this. That's all I can ask.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to, again, this is just a recommendation because the City Commission makes the ultimate decision on whether to grant a lien reduction request, but I'm going to make the recommendation same as I did last time, which is a reduction to $5,000. and the reasoning for that is that the costs here for the city were approximately $1,400. And then there's an additional fine on top of that because it was in violation for quite some time, almost a year. However, this was, it was a newly constructed fence and it wasn't at least offensive to the rest of the community. So I'm going to, that's what I'm going to recommend is $5,000. And as I said, the City Commission will have to decide whether or not to accept that recommendation.
I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. All right, this is the case, and I've got a number of lien reduction, okay, we don't have anyone else on Zoom, right? No. Okay. All right, this is the case for DEL 22-087, 22-088, 22-090, and 14-178. And we have, and then DEL 12-105 is what it appears. So, Mr. Mead, you can present.
My name is Todd Mead. I'm Code Compliance Officer with the City of Deltona. This will be a hearing for a case reduction or fine reduction on the property 779 Tulip Street, Deltona, Florida. Parcel ID is 813-003-430-190. Property owner is Carlos Antonio Enrique Montserrat, and this covers DEL 12-105, DEL 14178, DEL 22-087, DEL 22-088, DEL 22-090. This property at 779 Tulip Street, Deltona, Florida, has had several code compliance cases in effect since 2012. A total of 6 cases remain on the property with fines. The resident at the time of the case is being presented sold the property to the new owner. The owner on record today was aware of the liens that existed on the property. The current total owed on the liens is $125,300. This is broken down to be $20,000 cap on the DEL 12105, a $20,000 cap on the DEL 14178, $26,100 on DEL 22-087, $37,000 on DEL 22088, $22,200 on DEL 22090. And these cases range from just a bit roof and gutters, repair, replace roof or gutters or violation on the roof, dispose of this outdoor storage. There was a public nuisance blight on the distressed real estate property. Structure, accessory structure that was done on the property. I believe it's a detached garage, accessory structures. A shed in disrepair, and outdoor storage. So basically a vast different cases. They were presented by a former officer, and so what we have, the city's recommendation would be half the total of the liens that are accrued, which would then, our recommendations for the city is $62,650 to be paid on the fines that exist.
Can you repeat that number?
$62,650, which is half of the $125,300.
Okay. So is the former owner Carlos Antonio Enriquez Montserrat?
He is the current owner.
That's you.
Gentleman.
Okay. So who's the former owner was?
Let's see, I got her name, I believe. As Elizabeth Mars, I believe. I have to check on this because.
And so do they have other property in?
They do have another property that they live in now, and I believe it's tied to this property as well. And there's, so I think there's a sale or something that's trying to occur on the other property that basically it's still tied. These properties are tied to from the former owner. So there's.
Okay, so, right. So you're saying there's another property to which these liens attach?
Yeah, yes. I've learned that through in taking on the case and learning all the information that's been shared to me that I know I can tell you that does exist.
Is that information in the binder?
On the other property, I do not believe that I have seen that, but discussion, I know the property is on Eden. That is the.
Okay. Okay, these are in. How is this binder organized? I mean, there's a whole bunch of papers stuck into.
This is everything for this case.
Uh-huh.
Right here. This case is in here.
I see. Okay. All right. So I think we need to, because each of these have differing, there's different gravity of the violation, different number of days that they were in violation. So I think I'm going to need to kind of understand each one as opposed to giving me a recommendation for just half of all of them lumped together. So before we do that, I guess I'll let the current owner speak. So can you state your name and address for the record?
Good evening, Madam Magistrate. My name is Carlos Enriquez.
Okay. What would you like to tell me about the request?
Well, I just realized I didn't know that the other house liens were tied to my house, the house that we own now. That's new to me. When we bought this house, we didn't know that it had some fines attached to it. We seek professional counseling, meaning realtors too, from their part and our part, and we were told by both of them that this could be solved via this way. This house, we're not a realtor company or nothing. This house was bought. It took the whole village, meaning the family, to buy this house for my mother. She's 72 years old. My father he's a stroke patient and a quadruple bypass. They lived in Puerto Rico. He needed medical attention. I live in the house next door to this property. So when we saw the sign up for sale, we decided to try to get this house so my mother could be with us. My mother's living with us right now because the house, as you can see, had so many violations. It still needs a lot of work done, but we wanted to get this done first. In that binder was submitted to the city. Excuse me. When was this submitted? This binder? in August. So the binder has before and after pictures of all the work. It's important to know that all these violations were sufficed when we bought the house. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done it. Everything was sufficed. So the liens were there, but all the violations, the paint, the sheds, the carport, the roof, everything had been taken care of. We're just working on the lien, on the fines. That's why we are here at your mercy, as the previous person said, to see if we can work something out. Because like I said, it took the whole village to get this property due to the medical situation of my mother, and we would like to see if we can be considered for that matter.
Okay. Okay, so all of the violations were cured?
Yes, they all
before they purchased?
They came into compliance.
Yes, madam.
And that's what I believe they're all compliance because they came with ending the days. Looking at October 31st of 2023, there's an affidavit of compliance on case 22087, which then 496 days after. So there are affidavits of compliance in each file for all those cases. Everything was in compliance, and fines ended at the time prior to his purchase of the home.
Okay.
And there's pictures of before and after. Everything's there.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a binder that you prepared?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not sure because, like I said, we turned it in August. We did turn in a huge binder.
Okay.
Everything very well organized with pictures of before and after information. We had hoped that by now the city would have taken it into consideration, gone through it. I guess if we need more time, that's fine. We can come back.
Okay. So from the city's perspective, if I were to make a recommendation to reduce it to zero, which is what you're asking, right? You're asking for zero?
That would be great. As an active member, I've lived in Virginia. I was stationed in Virginia, Texas. I lived all over Florida, and I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. And Deltona's my home. We're not here to cheat the system. We just want a little bit of consideration, 50%, 0%, 5%, anything that will help, because at this moment, like I said, it took the whole village to buy the house, and we owe to our family. So we got our house. Our first house is right next door. We just bought it 4 years ago. So we're new to buying properties. We're not expert at this. So, yeah, that's basically it.
Well, right. What I'm considering is making a recommendation to reduce it, but it would be a partial reduction as to this property, because the violator, you said, excuse me, owns another property, correct?
Correct. And
so it would be reduced as to this one, but not the other.
And sorry to interrupt, but I would love clarification. I don't know how that house is tied to this one, because I was not told, and it's been a while now.
I want to help him. She has, I know the property address, I just saw it.
I know the owner. The owner of this house had two houses.
Trying to buy the other house. So those liens, are tied to the property she owned, which.
All right. So, I think Renee knows more about that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry. Did you want to make any statements, Mr. Ron?
Danny Ron, Co-Compliance Manager. We did find the address at 1447 Eden Drive here in Deltona. I think Renee might have more information on it. I think they were trying to sell. The second property was Eden, but when they tried to sell it, the liens from the original property comes up, and I think they holding back from selling it until we resolve the reductions in fine.
Yeah.
Like Todd said, I think 50% is more than reasonable, and I think we can present that to the commission to get that approved. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think that is frankly quite a lot when all of the violations were cured by the time that they purchased the property, and they were not responsible for any of the 331 days, or sorry, that was the previous one, but for the amount of time. Some of these were 522 days was the first one, the amount of time that was in violation, but that was not caused by these individuals. Plus, they have said that they understood that there were liens, but they wanted to purchase that house for the reason that they wanted to take care of the family member next door. So, my recommendation, do you have cost affidavits for all of these, or?
Yes, that should be we should have that with their grouping.
In here?
Yeah, there should be one. If not, I do have one for you to see.
Do you have the total of the costs?
Yes. We'll look at it.
Okay.
It should be something like that.
Okay, so the total cost breakdown for all of the cases was $10,266.44.
Through Mike, yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm going to recommend. I'm going to recommend that we partially reduce to the costs on this property. The rest of the lien will not be released as to the other property that the previous owner had and currently owns. So that's going to be my recommendation. So it would be to reduce on this property as to $10,266.44.
Thank you very much, Madam.
And I think that makes sure that the city does recoup the costs that they spent on the code enforcement. But for the reasons I just went over, I think that also protects the city's interests in terms of the liens on the other property that the Mars family still owns. Okay? Like I said before, this is a recommendation to the City Commission, and they make the ultimate decision about whether or not to reduce the liens. So I will write a recommendation, and it will go to them for a final decision.
Understood.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. This is case DEL 24-094, 1371 Comer Wood Drive.
My name is Nicholas Lopez. I'm employed by the City of Deltona as a code compliance officer. This will be case number DEL-24-094, the City of Deltona versus Lanaria T. Bankston. The property address is 1371 Comerwood Drive, Deltona, Florida 32738. The parcel ID number is 813-038-110-190. This is a violation of City of Deltona Ordinance, Section 18-5, adapting the latest edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, Section 302.7, which states all accessory structures, including detached garages, fences, and walls shall be maintained and kept in good repair and sound structural condition. Corrective action for said violation is to repair or remove the fence, The statutory requirements for notification of this hearing have been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code violation were sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the special magistrate clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed in the data were taken. On April 16, 2024, a fence was observed in disrepair at the aforementioned property. A door hanger was left at the residence. As of today, the property is still in violation with the fence panel missing in the front right side yard area of the property and panels being damaged in the rear yard area of the property. The city would like to request 30 days for the property to come into compliance or a fine of $25 per day to be imposed until such time that the property owner has notified the city of compliance.
Thank you. That you said 25, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to find respondent in this case in violation of the city code as charged, and that respondent correct the violation before 4:00 p.m. on, that would be October 25th. In the event respondent does not comply by this date, a fine in the amount of $25 per day will be imposed for each day the violation continues past the aforestated date. Respondent is further ordered to contact the code inspector to verify compliance with this order, and I'm admitting the case file and PowerPoint as exhibits, and I find the notices were properly given in this case.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, this is case fire 24-0048, 122 Hummingbird Street.
Okay. For the record, my name is Lisa Nadeau. I am employed by the City of Deltona as a fire safety inspector. This will be case number fire 048, 2024, the City of Deltona versus Roberto A.D. Rodriguez Aguilar, Jr. The property's address is 122 Hummingbird Street, Deltona, Florida 32725. Parcel is 803-605-070-130. This is a violation of the City of Deltona Ordinance, Chapter 42, Article 4, Fire Codes, Chapters 22 through 186, which adopts the most recent edition of the Florida Fire Prevention Code as adopted by the State Fire Marshal, which contains a Florida-specific version of NFPA 1, Chapter 13.6.1.2. Fire extinguishers shall be provided where required by this code as specified in Table 13.6.1.2 and the referenced codes and standards listed in Chapter 2. NFPA 101, Chapter 31.3.4.5.1. In buildings other than those equipped throughout with existing complete automatic smoke detection system, smoke alarms shall be installed in accordance with 9.6.2.10 as modified by 31.3.4.5.2. Outside every sleeping area, in the immediate vicinity of the bedrooms, and on all levels of the dwelling, including basements. NFPA 1, Chapter 11.1.7.3.1. Each disconnecting means shall be legibly marked to indicate its purpose unless located and arranged so the purpose is evident. In other than one or two family dwellings, the marking shall include the identification of the circuit source that supplies the disconnecting means. The marking shall be of sufficient durability to withstand the environment involved. Corrective action for said violation is to provide fire extinguishers for the apartment building accessible within 75 feet of all points of the structure, tagged by a Florida licensed fire extinguisher dealer, or provide documentation that each dwelling is equipped with a fire extinguisher. Provide documentation that each dwelling unit is equipped with smoke alarms. Label each electrical meter main breaker with corresponding unit numbers. Statutory requirements for notification of this hearing have been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code violations were sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted on the property and at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the special magistrate clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day they were taken. On January 23, 2024, I conducted a fire safety inspection at this address where I observed the above-mentioned violations. In addition, due to the fact that I was not able to access the individual units, it was requested that the property owner provide documentation that each unit is equipped with a portable fire extinguisher and smoke alarms. The property owner was notified in writing of the violations and given a time frame to correct said violations. Subsequent re-inspections on May 24, 2024, July 3, 2024, July 29, 2024, August 7, 2024, August 16, 2024, September 3, 2024, and September 10, 2024 found no progress on the violations. To date, we have received no documentation regarding the smoke alarms being installed or tested or the fire extinguishers in the unit. Case closing, the city would like to request 30 days for the property to come into compliance with the remainder of the violations or a fine of $50 per violation per day for a total daily fine of $150 per day until the violations are brought into compliance and the property owner notifies the city of compliance.
Okay, is 11.1.7.3.1, is that in compliance? I don't think I heard you describe what the issue was there.
This is for the outside, the breaker box outside. There's 4 or 5 units.
Right here in the picture?
And the breakers are not identified as to which unit each one is designated for.
So that's still in violation?
Yes, ma'am.
So in terms of gaining access to the units, what ability do you have to do that in a multifamily? I guess you don't, is what you're telling me.
Right.
Well, does the fire code provide that in the event you can't obtain access, that they have to provide written documentation?
Yes, ma'am.
It does?
Well, we have to have written documentation. Sam?
Did you want to respond to that? I mean,
I saw eyes on me.
well,
Me or Chief Shivers.
what I'm saying, I guess my question is, you all have the burden of proof, of proving that there's a violation, and you don't have access to the units to know whether or not there is a violation. So what I'm saying is there something that in the code that actually says in the event that you can't physically access the unit, that they have to provide documentation? Because otherwise, how can I find a violation?
They have to have working smoke detectors. So the code requires that they do have to have working smoke detectors, so it's verification that we know that they actually have them in the units and they're functioning. We request this documentation as our documentation and throw it in the file and call it a day. We can go into the unit if we're invited in, but most times people don't want us to come into their place of living.
Well, I mean, again, it's your burden to prove that they are in violation, and I don't think that that's been done here.
Sorry. We do provide a form for them to fill out. Either the property owner or individual unit owners can fill it out, and they just need to send it to us. They sign it, saying that, yes, they've been checked, they're all functioning, and we take that as that they've been looked at, they've been
right
placed.
But But you're asking me to find that they do not have working smoke alarms or working, or, fire extinguishers in the places where they're required. And I know that's difficult in these situations, but I don't feel that I can find a violation at this time, because there Okay, it needs to be. It's working. Okay, it needs to be. All right. I just want to confirm it is recording, correct? Okay, all right. Okay, so we'll resume. This is Fire 24-0048. As I was saying, I don't think I can find a violation of 13.6.1.2 or 31.3.4.5.1 because there isn't evidence that there actually are no extinguishers or smoke alarms in the places where required. But I will find a violation of 11.1.7.3.1.
Can I just say something? Last August we had 102 low water, and the same exact violations that this one had, and it went through.
I mean, I don't know if it was apparent to me at that time, but it's apparent to me now from what you're telling me that you did not access the units. So I'm not gonna find a violation of those unless you have anything else you want to add.
If I may, about the fire extinguishers, there is evidence that there are no fire extinguishers simply because they're not in the exterior corridors for the common areas. Okay. So they have the ability to either provide them in the corridors, not to exceed a 75-foot travel distance, or they can provide them in the apartments. So it's just an either-or option. But in our inspection of the common areas, there are no fire extinguishers.
But how do you know that they're not in the units?
We don't know.
Okay. So I can't find a violation, right? Because they could be in compliance with the extinguishers in the units.
Okay.
So I'm going to dismiss find no violation for NFPA 1 13.6.1.2 and NFPA 101 31.3.4.5.1. However, I will find that the respondent in this case is in violation of the city code as charged, and with respect to chapter 11.1.7.3.1, and that respondent correct the violation before. I'm sorry, I forget. Did I ask you of the time you're requesting to comply for that one? Would it be 30 days? 30 days. And if your recommendation on the fine for that one?
It's $50 per violation per day for a total of $150 per day.
Okay. So I will find that they have to correct the violation before 4:00 p.m. on October 25th. Again, for the one violation, and that a fine, if respondent does not comply by the state, a fine in the amount of $50 per day will be imposed for each day the violation continues past the aforestated date. Respondent is further ordered to contact the code compliance officer to verify compliance with this order. Thank you. Okay, the next case is Fire 24-0050, 1229 Providence Boulevard. Go ahead.
There we go. For the record, my name is Jory Bailey. I am employed by the City of Deltona as a fire safety inspector. This will be case number Fire-050-2024, the City of Deltona versus ECA Bolingo Providence Partner LP. The property address is 1229 Providence Boulevard, Suite A, Deltona 32725. Parcel ID is 81300506010. This is a violation of City of Deltona Ordinance, Chapter 42, Article 4, Fire Codes, Chapter 42-186, which adopts the most recent edition of the Florida Fire Prevention Code, as adopted by the State Fire Marshal, which contains the Florida Pacific version of NFPA 1, Fire Codes, Chapter 1.7.12.10, which states no construction work shall proceed until the ASJ has reviewed the plans for compliance, which the applicable codes and standards and the applicable permits have been issued, in Chapter 13.3.3.3, which states that where automatic fire sprinklers are installed, sealing necessary for proper auction of the fire protection device in accordance with NFPA 13 shall be maintained. Corrective action for said violation is to obtain a permit for the installation of the new AC condensers, repair the damaged ceiling grid in the rear stock room, and replace the missing ceiling tiles. The statutory requirements for notifications of this hearing has been met by the notice of hearing and notice of violations were sent certified mail to the property owner of the address listed with the property appraiser record. In addition, both notices were posted on the property and at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All the evidence in this case includes the photographs which have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the special magistrate clerk, are certified and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day they were taken. On September 22nd, 2023, while conducting a fire safety inspection at this location, amongst other violations which have since been resolved, I observed the ceiling grid in the rear stock room in disrepair. In addition, upon researching, it was found that this location has outstanding permits that are expired. Mechanical or MECC 19-0015 was issued on January 9, 2020 for the installation of 2 new AC condensers. However, this permit expired on July 7, 2020 with no inspections. Permit MECC 21-0008 was applied for on June 22, 2021 for the installation of the condensers. However, the permits were never issued. The property manager was notified of these items and given time to comply. Subsequent inspections on December 1st, 2023, January 19, 2024, February 23, 2024, May 9, 2024, and July 12, 2024 found the ceiling grid still in disrepair and no permits issued for the AC condensers. The city would like to request 90 days for the property to come into compliance with the remainder of the violations, or a fine of $50 per violation per day, for a total fine of $100 per day until such time that the property owner has notified the city of compliance.
Okay, on 13.3.3.3, can you just explain that to me? If you go back to the picture of the ceiling, what's required? It says where automatic sprinklers are installed, ceilings necessary for the proper actuation of the fire protection device has to be maintained. So what does that mean, proper actuation?
Like this building here is sprinkled. Whenever there's a fire sprinkler system installed and there's ceiling tiles also installed as well, the ceiling tiles have to be maintained and the ceiling grid must also be maintained as well.
Okay, so it's really that the ceiling tiles are not being maintained properly?
Yes, ma'am.
If they don't, if they're not, then the sprinklers may not function properly? Is that?
The ceiling tile it's not mainly for protection.
So it won't activate the fire sprinkler head at the temperature that it's supposed to be activated at because the heat keeps rising. So it will delay the response of the sprinkler head.
Thank you. Okay. And so, and this building does have a fire sprinkler system?
Yes, ma'am, they're fully sprinkled.
Okay, thank you. All right. I'm going to find that, and I'm sorry, did you say 30 days for compliance or?
90 days.
90?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. All right, I'm going to find respondent in this case in violation of the city code as charged, and that respondent correct the violations before 4:00 p.m. on, I'm going to say December 27th, which is slightly more than 90 days, but December 27th. In the event respondent does not comply by the state, a fine in the amount of $50 per day per violation will be imposed for each day the violations continue past the aforestated date. Respondent is further ordered to contact the code inspector to verify compliance with this order. I'm omitting the case file and the PowerPoint as exhibits, and I find the notices properly given in this case. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is Fire 24-0052, 609 Bell Tower Avenue.
This case is going to be continued.
Okay. 0052. Oh, wait. Did I just say, which one was it?
There's 4 with the same address.
Are they all continued?
Oh, okay. They were. Okay. Why do I only see one of them? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so it's 0052
55
55
56 and 57.
Okay. All right, all of those are continued. All right, Fire 24-0053, 1805 Elkham Boulevard.
For the record, my name is Lisa Nadeau. I am employed by the City of Deltona as a fire safety inspector. This case will be number Fire 053-2024, the City of Deltona versus CO Realty Income Corporation. The property address is 1805 Elkham Boulevard, Deltona, Florida 32725. Parcel ID is 8130151600010. This is a violation of City of Deltona Ordinance, Chapter 42, Article 4, Fire Codes, Chapters 42 through 186, which adopts the most recent edition of the Florida Fire Prevention Code as adopted by the State Fire Marshal, which contains the Florida-specific version of NFPA 1, Chapter 1.7.12.10. No construction work shall proceed until the AHJ has reviewed the plans for compliance with the applicable codes and standards and the applicable permits have been issued. Corrective action, obtain an electrical permit for the newly installed cooking appliances and associated electrical. Obtain a permit for the installation of the LED lighting in the coolers. The statutory requirements for notification of this hearing have been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code code violations were sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted on the property at City Hall and at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the special magistrate clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day that they were taken. On April 25th, 2023, while conducting a fire safety inspection at this address, I observed newly installed cooking appliances and associated electrical. Permit electric ELEC 22-0016 was issued for this work. However, permit ELEC 22-0016 for the installation of the new cooking appliances and associated electrical had expired on November 1st, 2023, with no passing inspections. The property owner was notified in writing of the violation and given a time frame to obtain another permit. Subsequent re-inspections on May 3rd, 2024 and August 15th, 2024 found no progress on this violation. The city would like to request 30 days for the property to come into compliance or a fine of $50 per day until the violation is brought into compliance and the property owner notifies the city of compliance.
Okay, thank you. And you said it was newly installed cooking appliances?
Yes, that's the coolers with the LED lights. That's the new ovens that were installed. There's warming ovens that were installed as well.
So it was both the warming ovens and the coolers?
Yeah. Well, not the coolers. The coolers were there. It's the LED.
Oh, the
tubes
LED.
that are in there. Yeah. And then those are the warming ovens.
Okay. And is this is a convenience store?
Circle K.
Okay. I'm just making sure, we've had several cases with Circle K and these warming ovens. I mean, this is not the same store, correct? This is a different store?
They have multiple Circle Ks here in Deltona.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure, because obviously I can't find a violation again, right, of the same thing that I've found violation before. But you're saying this is a different address?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to find that respondent in this case is in violation of the city code as charged, and that respondent correct the violation before 4:00 p.m. on October 25th. And in the event respondent does not comply by the state, a fine in the amount of $50 per day will be imposed for each day the violation continues past the aforestated date. Respondent is further ordered to contact the code compliance officer to verify compliance with this order. I'm going to admit the case file and PowerPoint as exhibits, and I find the notices properly given in this case. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's the last case. Anything else before we adjourn? Nope. Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.